Hey everybody, it's Heather. We are here in my garage today, fancy, because I made a video in the laundry room the other day, and once I got it on YouTube, I noticed it looked pretty dark. So I'm trying to do one in my garage with the door open so maybe I can get more light, but I wanted to do it outside, except it's raining again. It's always raining. After, we've had like 10 years of drought, now it's just always raining every day, which we appreciate the rain. It's just putting a damper on some of the activities. But this is going to be the first of two videos. I was going to make two, but then I was going to make one long one, but then I realized it was going to be like 15 minutes long. Probably no one was going to listen to me talk in my garage for 15 minutes. So I'm going to make it into two, and hopefully maybe it'll do some good for somebody. What this video is about is tornado precautions. And the reason I wanted to make a video about tornado precautions is when I was a kid, there was a meteorologist, the greatest who has ever lived and ever will live, Gary England from Channel 9 in Oklahoma City. And he would always speak directly to the kids who were at home by themselves. A lot of times tornadoes hit in the late afternoon, in between that time when kids might get home from school but their parents aren't home from work yet. And it just gave me a lot of confidence because he would explain, okay kids, now here's what to do. And it just helped me not freak out as much. Well, I've been watching the weather a lot lately and I haven't heard anybody doing that. And so I thought somebody needs to do that. Well, in this day and age of the internet, anybody can do it, and then anybody can watch it whenever they want to. So I'm making a video about it, and so that's what we're gonna do. This first one is just gonna be your basic tornado precautions that you need to know, and then the next one's gonna be what to do if you don't have an underground shelter to get in. So, first of all, you need to have a plan. That's the most important step in any, survival situation, is to have a plan of what you're going to do ahead of time, because for one thing, you're not going to be thinking clear when a disaster strikes, and for another thing, you're not going to have time to get all your stuff together. So make your plan ahead of time. Do it today. Do it as soon as you see this. You just have to do it in your head. It's not going to take a long time, but figure out what you're going to do. One thing you need to know is the difference between a warning and a watch. A tornado watch just simply means that conditions are favorable and could produce a tornado. That does not mean that there will be a tornado. In fact, most of the time, there's not going to be one. Tornado watches, we probably are kind of desensitized to them because you see them a lot and nothing comes of it. But when you do see a tornado watch, that tells you need to keep checking the weather and just keep an eye on it and make sure that doesn't turn into a warning. When you get a tornado warning, you need to go to your shelter right away, because that means that a tornado has been spotted. And you can turn on the TV, and they're pretty good these days. They can tell you the direct path the tornado is going to take if it stays on the ground. So what I do is crank up my TV really, really loud before I get my shelter, and then that way I can run to the door and listen once I think it's over and make sure it is before I get everybody out of the cellar. So that's warning versus a watch. Another thing that you can do that I think is just wonderful is to get a weather app on your phone. I have Channel 9, Oklahoma City's weather app, and it's a good one. I know Channel 4 has a weather app. I assume Channel 5 probably does. And there's another, Aaron Tuttle is one. He's kind of controversial. I don't know why. He's an internet meteorologist. It's a new thing. It's a whole new world we live in. But he has an app that a lot of people seem to like. So, there's apps. You should get one. Another thing that you can do if you don't have a smartphone or you don't want to put another app on your phone because your storage is full, you can get a weather radio. They still sell those at Walmart. So do one of those things. If you do get an app, you need to set your settings right away, because I made this mistake when I first got mine and I didn't set up what I wanted the alarms for, and so it was going off in the middle of the night for like flood watches, you know, because it was raining, and if a cloud would pass by, an alarm would go off and wake me up. So set your settings as soon as you download the app. I just have mine to go off if there's a tornado warning, and that's it, because I don't even want to wake up in the middle of the night for a tornado watch. But remember, I'm not a professional, so if you think my advice is stupid and you do want to wake up for a tornado watch, you should do that. So another good app that I like to have is iHeartRadio, because then that way you can listen to your local radio stations when you're in your shelter. If you get a good enough internet signal, sometimes in the cellar you're not going to, but if you're in a above ground shelter, you should be able to get your internet signal, and you can listen to the radio, and they will be keeping you posted about what's going on with the storms. Now, a word about sirens. Sirens are great. Most towns have them, and they will set them off in all kinds of emergencies, weather emergencies. Around here, mostly just tornadoes. It's the only time you're going to hear them, other than when they're testing them. But what can happen is people maybe start to depend on sirens, and then maybe like the sirens break and they don't go off, and then somebody doesn't get in their shelter. It's not a good situation. In our town the other day, there was a tornado, and a lot of the sirens didn't go off because they had been struck by lightning a couple days before that and hadn't had time to get fixed. And so don't depend on a siren to tell you to go to the cellar. But if you do hear a siren, go to the cellar. Some places like Oklahoma City is a really large area, and I don't know if they do it by county or by city, but if there's a tornado anywhere in either the county or the city, the sirens go off for the whole place there. So you could be like miles and miles and miles away from where anything's happening and the siren goes off. So if that's the case, you know, you just use your own judgment. But if I hear a siren, I'm going to go to the cellar. And I'm going to take my emergency bag. If you need to know what to put in an emergency bag, I made a video the other day about what's in my tornado emergency bag. And hopefully people are going to leave some comments about what they would put in theirs, so that you can get some ideas and not forget anything. The other thing that we need to talk about is don't be in a car during a tornado. If you don't know one's coming and you're in your car and there's a tornado, all of a sudden they're on the radio telling you, what you need to do is get out of your car and lay down in the ditch. I know it sounds like counterintuitive and crazy, but you don't want to be in your car when there's a tornado. Don't try to outrun the tornado. Don't try to go anywhere. What can happen is if you're driving and there's a tornado, the tornado can totally turn directions, go the opposite way, and that has gotten a lot of people in trouble in the past. So I advise don't be in a car. The other thing is you really need to be your own boss. Don't wait on somebody else to tell you when it's okay for you to leave work to get in a shelter, or for you to leave work to go pick up your kids from school. Don't wait on your school to tell you that they're canceled that day, or that they're closing early because there's going to be a tornado. Sometimes what happens is they can predict days ahead of time that there's going to be a tornado on a certain day. And when that happens, they can sometimes even say there's going to be large deadly tornadoes in central Oklahoma on this certain day. Excuse me. When that happens, you should take control of your situation. Be responsible for yourself and your kids. If you feel like you need to get out of there and get in shelter, you do that. I know jobs are hard to come by these days. The oil field's not rocking, but you gotta take care of yourself. It's not worth the risk. And if I had kids in school, I don't yet, but when they are in school, what I would do on a day like that is I would probably send them to school in the morning and then go pick them up at lunchtime. And that way I could get them before any craziness happened and they could be with me. Goodness, I'm sorry. These allergies, they're a killer. I think the only other thing I wanted to tell you was, if you are on the road when a tornado hits, don't get under those underpass things. It's not any safer. And in fact, it's more dangerous because it creates a low pressure area under there and the tornado will suck you. Don't get under there. Get in a ditch. And I think that's the only things that I wanted to tell you guys about to be aware of. And now you can go confidently into springtime in Oklahoma. Now look for the next video coming up that is gonna tell us what to do if you do not have an underground shelter. Thanks guys, bye.